Hello and welcome to Shimba channel. I'm a Japanese native and a vegan English learner. In Japan, almost everyone has health insurance. While a doctor's visit in US might cost over $100, in Japan it's often less than $20. Today, I'll explain how the system works, its benefits, and some challenges. In Japan, it is mandatory for everyone to be enrolled in some form of health insurance. Because of this system, patients usually pay only 30% of their medical costs, while the remaining 70% is covered by insurance. For example, if the total cost of a visit is about 5,000 yen, which is around $35, the patient pays only about 1,500 yen, or $10. Children and elderly often pay even less. In my case, I suffer from hay fever during certain seasons. When I visited an ear, nose, and throat doctor, the consultation fee is usually around 1,000 yen, and the medicine costs another 1,000 to 2,000 yen. So in total, I pay only about 3,000 yen, which is roughly $20. I also go to the dentist regularly for cleanings. Some of these treatments are covered by insurance, and in those cases, I pay only around 3,000 yen per visit. How much would the same treatment cost to your country? I'd love to hear from you. Of course, since it's affordable, hospitals are usually very crowded. Waiting 30 minutes to an hour, or even longer, is quite normal in Japan. That's another typical feature of our healthcare system. Japanese health insurance only applies to treatment approved by lawyers insured medical care. Cosmetic surgery and orthodontics, for example, are not covered, and patients must pay the full amount. New drugs and some advanced medical treatments that are not yet approved by the Ministry of Health are also excluded. I personally had orthodontic treatment, which cost me several $1,000s out of pocket. However, at the same time, I also received treatment for cavities and had my wisdom teeth removed. Those procedures were covered by insurance, so I only paid 30%. Even within dental care, whether insurance applies can depend on the material you choose for fillings or crowns. This is why it's important to discuss the details with your doctor before starting treatment. There are two main types of health insurance in Japan. Social insurance, which covers company employees and public workers, and national health insurance, which covers the self-employed, freelancers, students, and unemployed people. Social insurance is deducted directly from your salary. It's not just health insurance, but also includes pension and employment insurance. The higher your income, the more you pay. But the good thing is, your company pays half of it, so your personal burden is only half. Another big feature of social insurance is the dependent system. If your spouse or children meet certain conditions, you can add them as dependent without paying extra premiums, and they are also covered. This system is very common in Japan, but I wonder, does your country have something similar? National health insurance is managed by local government. Premiums are calculated based on your previous year's income, household size, and sometimes even property taxes. This means people with higher income pay more, and the amount can also differ depending on where you live. Unlike social insurance, there is no dependent system. Each family member must pay premiums individually. However, low-income households can get reductions. If you have a period of unemployment, you need to apply for national health insurance yourself. For example, when I changed job, there was a 3-month gap before I started my new job. During that time, I had to go to the city hall and sign up for national health insurance on my own. On top of that, I also had to handle pension and tax payment, which was honestly a hassle. So, if possible, it's easier to avoid a gap between jobs because of those trouble. One of the most important features of Japan's health insurance system is the high-cost medical expense benefit. If your out-of-pocket expense in a single month exceeded the starting limit based on your income, the extra amount will be reimbursed. Even if your surgery costs 1 million yen, around $7,000, your personal payment might be limited to just a few $100s. This system prevents people from going bankrupt because of medical bills. Take appendicitis, for example. With insurance, including surgery and hospitalization, the cost might be 100,000 to 200,000 yen, which is about $800 to $1,400. But if your monthly limit is 80,000 yen, anything above that will be reimbursed later, so your actual burden is capped at 80,000 yen, which is about $500. My family and friends have used this system for treatments like diabetes, cancer, and infertility. It has been a huge help to many people. However, this benefit only applies to treatments covered by insurance. If the treatment itself is not approved, you must pay the full amount. That's why it's important to know what's covered and what isn't. Does your country have a system like this? Please share it in the comments. I'd love to learn about it. As you can see, Japan's health insurance system has many advantages. On the other hand, there are some challenges. Japan has an aging population, and medical costs are increasing every year. As a result, the burden on the working generation is also rising. In fact, social insurance premiums can now take 10 to 15% of the person's salary. The system is great, but keeping it sustainable is becoming a serious issue. In this video, I introduce Japan's health insurance system. Thanks to this system, people in Japan can see doctors and receive the treatment without worrying too much about costs. At the same time, challenges like rising expenses and aging population remain. How we maintain this system in the future will be important issues for Japanese society. There are also other social security systems in Japan, and I'd like to introduce them in the future videos. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope this explanation gave you a clear idea of how Japan's health insurance system works, its benefits, and also some of its challenges. If you'd like to share how healthcare works in your country, please leave a comment below. Your feedback really helps me improve, not only in making videos but also in learning English. See you next time!